So we've done two horror versus horror and two horror versus non-horror. So, all right, for this next one, we're going to continue, but we're going to go back to horror v horror
All right.
with my next scenario. So go ahead, spin that wheel. Let's see who we've got.
I'm going to spin it again because it landed on, even though I shuffled it, it landed on Stripe again.
There's a remove button after it gets selected if you want to just take him out.
Okay, I'll do that. Boom. Goodbye, sir. All right, let's try this again.
I'm very excited because I got a good pick.
Oh God. Again, not necessarily horror, but he is a monster. You're welcome for Randall from Monsters Inc.
Okay. Now this is perfectly funny. This is perfectly fine because I did tell you anything under the umbrella. I'm looking for villains, monsters, creatures, killers, any sort of thing. I was really hoping for someone like really hardcore and gory for this one though, because I've got Randall versus all of Mystery Incorporated. So Shaggy, Scooby, Fred, Velma, Daphne, all of Mystery Incorporated, and Randall from Monsters Inc. I was really hoping for like Leatherface or Pinhead
I
or
have some
something.
of those people on here too.
Ah,
Like
that's
literally
okay.
right after Randall goes Chucky, Pinhead, Valak from The Conjuring 2. Like there's some, but no, it had to pick it.
But no, that's fine. We're going to roll with Randall versus Mystery Incorporated. Um, because I see potential. I see potential here. Um, so now this is going to be set after the events of Monsters Inc. So anyone that's seen Monsters Inc. Now, by the way, I guess we do have to tell those people that have lived
Oh
under
yes.
a rock. Monsters Inc. Pixar movie. Randall is the main and or secondary antagonist of the movie. He's basically just a dick. And he has the
Or
plan.
shape shifting.
Yes, he's
He's
like
a
a chameleon.
chameleon monster.
Yeah, he blends in. He blends in. That's his whole thing. Is he blends in. He's like a chameleon, and his whole plan was to steal the screams of every human child. And I don't know exactly what that does to them in the long run, but
The machine did
basically,
not look good. It looked like
basically bad.
really, really intense and really painful.
Yep, and it leaves them looking like a makeup YouTuber at the end. Um,
It's quite.
oh, I went there. Oh, drama. Jeffree Star. Um, so ends up looking like Jeffree Star at the end. So at the end, basically they trap Randall in like some hillbilly trailer out in the middle of nowhere. And so right now Randall's got to survive because they break that door, so he can't go back into the closet. Um, also like Jeffree Star.
He must find a different closet.
Yeah, he must find a different clone. Which actually, now that I think about it, he really was not defeated at all. He just,
No,
he ended up somewhere. He just ended up in the wrong door, and they're like beating the shit out of him. But he
they
can
think
get
he's a
out of that,
crocodile.
go into
So
any other door, and he'll get back to the monster world. But basically, I'm gonna say that's in like a bayou or something because it looks very Floridian. Because
oh
he
yeah,
goes into that trailer, and the guy says like, "Ma, the gator's back again." So I'm
she's like,
assuming it's Florida.
not the gator, and then they just started beating him and
Yeah,
like shooting at him.
yeah, they're beating him up with like shovels and stuff. So I'm gonna assume he gets out of that. And because there's Florida, there's probably like a bog or a like swamp nearby. So he goes in there and here comes Scooby-Doo. Here comes the Mystery Machine, and they're driving around, and of course, Mystery Machine just happens to break down by the swamp because Randall's been like hiding out in the swamp because he doesn't know what to do. Randall can't hang.
Old Man Withers.
Yeah, and old man Jenkins comes up and he's like, "Don't go near that bog. There's a deadly gator monster there. He changes his color so you can't see him, like an invisible gator." So Mystery Incorporated ends up, doing their investigation and finds Randall in the swamp, and basically Randall ends up chasing them because he's pretty speedy. He is pretty speedy.
He's got like 6 legs.
Yeah, he's pretty speedy, and of course they're running away. And they end up in Old Man Jenkins's shed, which just so happens to have a closet. They go into the closet, and it just so happens to be that time of night when the doors activate and they run into Monsters Incorporated, and then that's when the music starts. So that's when the 1970s like pop music begins, and they start chasing each other, and of course this leads to the classic gag where there's a whole ton of doors and they're running in and out of the doors chasing each other.
Perfect.
It's absolutely perfect, and filled with plenty laugh tracks and zoinks. And
Shaggy.
So eventually, through some random stuff that Fred has put together, they end up trapping Randall, and they're like, now let's see who this monster really is. And he just just fucking rips his head off. He just rips his head like right off. Well, because he's a lizard, it shouldn't be that hard. And he's like, "Oh,
my bad.
Shit, run,
And that's
gang!
how
All right, gang, let's split up." And now the what were they called? What was it? The CDE or something? What were those guys called? The yellow dudes, like the hazmat suits.
Oh, what are they?
This is CPS.
Like the CDA.
Yeah, the CDA.
The Child Detection Agency.
Yeah, the CDA is now like, oh, there have been a lot of humans, and then they also killed a monster. So now that they're like going, and Fred's like, all right, gang, let's split up. It's the feds. So because they're like 60s hippies. They're against the man. So, and that's basically how it goes. Now that, of course, also went into a who would win. Mystery Incorporated ends up trapping Randall and then accidentally killing him.
And then all they'd have to do is like throw a sock, and it'd be a 2319, and they could really get away.
2319. So they all end up splitting up and running through different doors, and little do they know it's going to lead them to a bunch of different places. And then it starts a story arc where they all have to find each other across the world. This also, fun fact for you people into the Scooby lore, Scooby and Shaggy go through the same door, and this is actually what starts all of those weird like TV movies where it's just Scooby and Shaggy and sometimes Scrappy. So this is what sets off the events of Ghoul School and like the Boo Brothers. And
I'm gonna also throw in how they got the supernatural episode that was Scooby-Dooified.
Yes, this throws in a whole ton of stuff. John Cena's there.
I forgot that happened.
Yep, that was that whole. There are multiple Scooby-Doo and WWE There is a Flintstones and WWE crossover. I want you to know that. And it's dumb. All of this stuff is dumb. Why are all the Hanna-Barbera characters interacting with pro wrestlers? I don't understand it.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
I think the second WWE Scooby-Doo one, Scooby and Shaggy and friends have to join the Undertaker in a monster truck race. I don't know what's happened to it. Hanna-Barbera has really fallen off the deep end. Not
Listen,
in the worst way.
If you just Google Scooby-Doo crossovers, there's literally an article that said the 10 strangest crossovers ranked.
That's got to include the one where Scooby-Doo meets Kiss.
Let's see.
About 40 years after Kiss is like one of the biggest bands in the world.
Oh my goodness, I don't. It is. Do you know what? Surprisingly, that one is not on. Oh nope, it is number one.
Yeah,
it's number one. John Cena. WWE is number 2, and it's John Cena and the Undertaker. Scooby-Doo meets the Teen Titans.
I was not aware of this.
They all seem quite normal, and I could get behind them, except for the fourth one. Scooby-Doo meets Bobby Flay. Why?
Yeah, everyone has met Scooby-Doo at some point, and it's all really strange. I feel like meeting Scooby-Doo is like the equivalent of if you're a musician and Weird Al parodies your song. It's like that's how you know you've made it. Or it's how you know that you've fallen off. It's one of the two.
And I love Supernatural, but I really feel like that's how they should have known 15 seasons was too many.
We've probably done enough.
We've had to go to Scooby-Doo now.
This episode has been brought to you by hashtag Let Scooby Die. Let it end.
I was saying what though, my little cousin had one of those like you could make your own gummies. The mystery machine, and you could make Scooby-Doo shaped gummies, but it was you baked it in a mystery machine, and I thought that was the funniest and probably the best marketing material I've ever seen.
It wouldn't be the first time that something was baked in the mystery machine, am I right? Oh, a Scooby-Doo drug joke that's never been done before in the history of comedy. It's not low-hanging fruit. Oh, God have mercy on us. That was surprisingly both from our horror list, because you know what? Scooby-Doo is under that umbrella because it's all about ghosts and zombies and monsters and witches and John Cena and Gene Simmons, the biggest monster of them all. And Randall was a literal monster. So
yeah.
So it still fits, even though neither of them were actually from horror movies. Although I'd say that the live-action Scooby-Doo movie counts as a horror movie.
I owned both of those at one point in time.
Let's take a moment to appreciate James Gunn's career. As he went from trauma movies to writing Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, and then immediately after that goes to direct Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a pretty big career leap. It's almost like failing upwards.
But he got there.
Yep, and that's why I love him. All right, so let's move on to the next one, shall we?